Welcome to Connie and Lottie's podcast. Try to talk about all things real estate in the great state of Alaska. I've got a really special guest today. In my opinion, he's the foremost MAI appraiser in the state, Per Bjorn-Roli. Per is founding member, one of the founding members for Reliant. Per, tell me what you do.
Well, I want to hear as a firm, first and foremost.
Yeah.
But myself
Big
personally. Yeah, big picture. We are probably the largest and most diverse commercial real estate valuation firm in the state. We also do a lot of advisory work as well. But our clients include national and local lenders. We do a lot of work with the major corporations and institutions within the state. We pretty much do all property types, everything from recreational properties to remote properties to downtown high-rise office buildings, retail, industrial, you name it. We pretty much got, if it exists in the state, then we're probably appraising it. We've done gold mines, resource extraction.
Wow.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. Those are who our clients are. We have basically about, 6 people at the firm now.
I didn't know that.
One thing that's unusual about Reliant is we have 3 MAIs. So there's a lot of firms out there that, they're successful having, one MAI, and then they have
just so they can put it on their letterhead.
Yeah, they have some junior appraisers, but we actually have 3 MAIs, which is unprecedented to have that in one company in Alaska. And then we have an additional one other state certified appraiser. So four state certified appraisers in total within the group. We have several that specialize down in the Southeast, and then we have another team up here in Alaska that handles pretty much the rest of the state. So we've got a lot of depth at the company, a lot of depth. And the reason we have structured it that way is because, as you know, we're a non-disclosure state. So having access to the information is
power.
Information is power, and it's efficiency.
I forgot what movie that was from, but anyway.
And it's efficiency.
Yeah.
So we've discovered that by having this professional affiliation with each other, that we all make more money. And they don't work for me in the sense of, we're some authoritarian, Ted and I are authoritarian partners. Ted Jensen is my partner.
Yeah.
We work with them. We have a structure that's favorable to them, and we let them run their business within a business, and that works out really well.
Nice. I appreciate everything that you bring to reports you've done for me. The knowledge, it doesn't matter what I think the valuation is. You know what it is, and you can't be swayed, and I appreciate that because that can go both ways.
Yeah, our job as appraisers is we're to be independent, impartial, and objective, and we're to maintain the public trust. That's heavy duty stuff.
Yeah. It is.
And one thing I've learned is our best business card is the report that we do, and our best long-term marketing
is that report.
Is actually the report and the integrity that went into the report.
Yeah.
So, every property owner has their individual perspective. There's nothing unethical whatsoever about, including this one, right? I have my own opinions about my property that I own. And there's nothing wrong with somebody having their own individual perspective and advocating for that when they're working with an appraiser. But at the end of the day, we call it the way we see it. We do a lot of research. We have a lot of data and a lot of information, and we go through this appraisal process and come up with what market value is, and we make that call.
Yeah.
But we've served ourselves well by maintaining our independence.
Yeah.
We absolutely will not and have not and won't compromise the reputation or individually or as a group of the firm. And that's been, in the short term, that can cost you a lot.
Yeah, but you're not here for the short term.
Right.
You've done this almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
So, yeah.
And we're
small. Working by short term.
Right. And the other thing is we're a small market.
Yeah.
We're not some, major, we're not LA. We're not Seattle. We're small market. We all know each other.
Yeah.
Within our profession, it's a small group of lenders. It's a small group of top brokers.
Yeah.
It's a small group of developers, of investors. And you're not going to survive very long if you are doing things that are not absolutely completely on the straight and narrow.
Right.
In fact, I had a client one time that they basically they were bragging about that they had some influence over this particular person. And this person was going to do, the person was not in our firm, but they was going to do what they wanted them to do.
Yeah.
And I told
that
them,
was what I was saying about your firm. Yeah.
I told them, I said, well, then you're just dealing with who the bigger fish is, because if you can influence them, then they can be influenced by somebody else. That's what I said. And you could almost tangibly see the wheels start turning in their mind.
Oh dear. What am I doing? Yeah, exactly. Well, at the end of the day, you want to know what the reality is. We don't need to have smoke blowing up our shorts. So we just give me the real number.
Well, I think a lot of people want the real number, and then a lot of people, they don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But my job is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I've been a buyer and I've been a seller many times. I understand.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting a high number or wanting a low number. It doesn't make a buyer or seller dishonest because that's what they want. But at the end of the day, my job is to do the same job, no matter what the perspective of the party is. And, it's funny, most of the time, it's not in anybody's interest for a wonky number to be out there anyways, as you know.
Yeah. No, I don't like that.
Market's too efficient. All it does is become a document that's just not credible. And people laugh at it.
Yeah. And you lose credibility that has taken you years to establish.
And we know many people.
We know them. I'm sure I know who you're talking about.
We could take a sheet of paper and they could write down those names.
Yeah.
And we could compare.
Be the same.
And be the same list.
Yeah. I agree.
And I don't ever want to be on that list.
No. And
I mean, if I make less money, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. God's been good to us. We're okay.
I'm a very blessed man. I've worked very, very hard. I'm extremely blessed, but I'm okay if I work every day the rest of my life, but I'm not okay selling myself. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. I always say that I'm sure I can be bought. It's not 1 million and it's not 10 million. I don't know what the number is, but it would be a little arrogant to say I can't be bought, but I don't know what that number is. So today I'm not on the market.
I don't think there is a number, because my own personal perspective is that I have a wife and I got to look her in the eyes, and I have 2 amazing kids and I have to look them in the eyes. And that would be a very difficult situation, wouldn't it? Is there anything in the world worth disappointing the people you love the most?
No.
And you look at it that way.
And when I was raising my 2 sons and now I see my grandchildren, it's not what I say or what I said. It was what I did. You don't have to say anything. They watch it. Okay, you're a man of integrity, or you're a little wishy-washy. You don't fool anyone.
The biggest teacher definitely is example, right?
Exactly. And you're teaching from day one. They are pupil from day one.
Somebody said, actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying.
Oh, I like that. I might steal that quote.
It's not my quote.
Yes.
I don't know who said it.
I'm going to claim it.
It's your quote now. But the point is that, what we do is watched by a lot of people. And most of all my prosperity comes from God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's where everything comes from, including the ability to do what I do.
Well, it's that inner strength. It's the strength in your gut.
I believe, in my experience, that I've seen firsthand, and I don't want to go into too much detail on your show here today, but I've seen firsthand that God really has helped me in my profession.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's not sexy, right? Oh yeah, God's helped me write appraisal reports.
No, but
or help me with problem solving, or help me on this assignment, or but He has. And so, with that in mind, is there any number that
can negate that?
Is there any number that He's my business partner? So, is there any number that would cause me to cheat my business partner? And the answer is no.
No.
It'd be pretty short term. It'd be a bad business decision, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be a bad business. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Is it, if you think of it just in terms of yourself, then it's easy to get distracted. And it's easy to start thinking, well, maybe I should do these things. But if you understand that it's bigger than you, and that our prosperity comes from something other than our own work in ourselves, then it changes the dynamics a lot.
Yeah, I agree. We've got a new year coming up. What do you see for the economy? Either statewide or nationally, or where do you want to start?
Let's go ahead and dive in nationally first, I guess. And of course, nobody has a crystal ball, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of
moving parts right now.
Right. So I like to think of things in terms of a river and, the different eddies on a river.
Mm-hmm.
And you got water moving in different directions. And that's what we have right now is there's a lot of strong forces moving, some of them favorably, some of them negatively. And so that in those types of situations, it becomes much more difficult to predict what's going to happen. And of course, all of that means risk, right?
Yep.
But in general, I see that it sounds like people are pretty positive. The consensus
that's what I see.
The consensus is that between the Trump tax cuts and the refunds that are going to be coming this year, and those are going to be huge at the end of the year, that those are really positive, that there's also momentum in terms of AI. I mean, there's a lot of positive things happening. Now on the negative side, that there was some concern, there continues to be some concern over tariffs. I personally am a strong supporter of the tariffs. I believe they're, in the long term, will have a huge positive impact on
the entire economy.
And principally on the middle class. But in the short term, it gets a little bit more challenging. Now, I mean, you and I both know, have you ever seen any good decision you made in your entire life that didn't require some investment first?
Yeah.
Well, like, when you were young, you could take the job at $10 an hour and that was a lot of money, or you could take less but you're actually learning something in that job. You have a profession, you're building skills and things like that. I had the young man that I hired once for an internship position because he was a family friend, which we do not do. And he quit me and he went to go work at a freight handling center. And he bragged about how he was making, $3 or $4 an hour more than what I was paying him. So he took what is a very short-term pay raise and he damaged himself in the long term. And so tariffs are a little bit like that. Whatever price we pay in this very short term is going to be more than offset by the longer term gains. And I think it's so far shown that it's not going to be. I mean, people were saying that it was just going to drive us off a cliff, and
hasn't happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated subject because it really depends on what type of market, and some markets are going to be more affected than others. Is it a tax? People claim it's a tax, other people say it's not. Well, it depends on the market. If it's a competitive, open market, it's probably not a tax, because those types of things, what's going to happen is instead of it all being built in China, it just is going to be built in another low cost market.
Right.
Maybe that's Cambodia, maybe it's Vietnam, maybe it's India. Maybe it's going to be in Latin America, but the point is, it's just going to go someplace else. It's not as if the price is just going to go up 30%. If it's a closed market, meaning that maybe there's only one person in the world that builds that product, like let's take Apple iPhones, it gets a little bit more complicated, because if Apple is only building its product in China and tariffs went up by some percentage point, then in theory, that might pass directly through on that product because they don't have a choice initially. And then eventually what happens is Apple goes, wait a second, this isn't smart. Let's move diversify our manufacturing into other.
And companies do that all the time. Nike did it when they were building shoes. They've all done it.
Well, let's be clear. Like, the whole reason they're in China today is because they made those decisions.
Right.
So,
exactly.
So we're simply changing the decision structure, which of course we have to do no matter what, because we can't have all of our eggs in one basket over in China.
Right.
Can't. It's like, we learned that during COVID, I think, right? Did we learn that?
I think I learned it. And I learned I hate shots.
Maybe we didn't learn it completely, but when your entire pharmaceutical industry is coming from, China and the rare earths melt. We have made a lot of really bad economic decisions that have brought us right up into this point. And those things are going to require correction, and changing them is going to be difficult. And those are the things that are still going to be dragging on us for, guess what? It might be years until we fix everything.
Yeah.
We have made,
But we have to start.
yes, we have made a lot
Yeah.
of really bad choices. Now, on the other side, wow, what an amazing time with technology and the way the technology is. There's just so much innovation, and we have so many great companies in this country that are they're leading in these various sectors, and they're all doing very well. And the amount of
this is where the innovation is. This country innovates. Yeah, we might build it somewhere else. We might manufacture it somewhere else, but the brains part of it, the innovation, that's from this country. So I feel really good about nationally, and I'm even much more excited about what's going on in Alaska for the next 12 months or foreseeable future. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Alaska economy?
I think Alaska is going to do well. Typically, it does almost, it does a lot better typically under conservative administrations. Every red state does generally, but every red resource state does, simply because
we are a resource state. Yeah, that's what we are.
We are
resource extraction.
So if you're talking about gold, silver, any type of precious metal, any type of rare earth metal, oil.
Yeah.
That's Alaska. That you just, we are.
And then fish and timber and all of those things that we talk about, but it doesn't put a whole lot of money, but still it's a resource.
Well, wait a second. We're so rich, it's not even funny. The amount of what Hickel, our former Governor Hickel,
he worked on his campaign.
Okay, well, he understood.
I was in junior high.
I think whether you're pro Hickel or not pro Hickel, whatever you want to say, he understood Alaska's wealth.
Yeah.
And he understood the way that wealth had been locked up, illegally locked up.
Yeah.
Most of what happened was illegal. And it really has hurt the state. So, but what's happening is that trend is somewhat reversing itself. And we're seeing a lot more of the federal lands become available. There's some changing in the tax structure, but much more in alignment with what was intended at statehood. Some of those things are happening. But as the price of precious metals goes up, the amount of reserves in the ground also increases. So reserves at a mine, okay, they change essentially on a daily basis, because reserves, in order for something to be classified as a reserve, it has to be financially feasible to extract it from the ground. So as the price of gold is fluctuating, or it's going down, the amount of reserves actually at an operating mine actually shrinks.
Right. Yep.
But as the reserve price of gold goes up, as the price of silver goes up, whatever it is, the amount of reserves increase. And so as the price of precious metals is increasing, we're seeing tremendous amounts of increases in reserves, and the values of these assets are going up. And of course, it's great for the economy because it's just going to drive exploration.
Yeah.
I was shocked. We did a project up in Nome, and Nome has had quite a history of.
I've toured a couple of their gold mines, some of them under the ice, under the water, which creeps me out. I'm a little claustrophobic. And then one up on the hillside. So you did a gold mine? You did some work on a gold mine?
Well, not in Nome specifically. We just did some appraisal work up there. But I was shocked at when we did our economic analysis and looked at everything going on in Nome, and we looked at, what was happening with the precious metals market and everything like that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm mentioning Nome specifically because it is a mineral rich area that has a really long, it goes back to statehood.
Beginning,
right?
Before.
The very beginning, and outside of town, you can go and see where the railroad stopped.
Right.
And they were almost there and it stopped, right? The history of mining.
Right there.
It's very, very rich history.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's, you're seeing a lot of things there are happening again throughout the entire state.
What happens up in Nome affects Fairbanks, and it really affects Anchorage in pretty much all of real estate. Industrial, certainly, office space. I think whatever happens outside of Anchorage affects Anchorage, because this is.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, it even affects Seattle on some level. But the point is,
we should annex Seattle.
No, which I worked down there I was there for 5 years.
Before here?
Well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Alaska.
Yeah.
So, but when I came back and I was working with Kincaid and Raleigh for a number of years, after that, I went down to Seattle and worked with Cushman & Wakefield down there, and then with Kidder Matthews, around 5 or 6 years, I forget, and then came back to Alaska.
Yeah.
In 2000 and 2003. But so we love Seattle, and go Seahawks. Hopefully.
Yes, I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, they sure played well the other night.
Yeah. If they go, I'm gone.
Well,
why not?
No, I would. I would. It's going to be spendy though. Okay, so back to your question. The Anchorage is basically the distribution center for the whole state. It's the financial center. It's definitely the staging area.
Lay down yard.
I mean,
everything
that happens throughout the state is going to affect either, Juneau, Anchorage, or Fairbanks to varying degrees.
Right.
That's a fact.
So that bodes well for certainly industrial and office.
Yeah, I think that industrial especially.
Yeah.
And, as you know, industrial's already been a very tight market.
Has been for years.
Yes. There's very limited inventory available at any given time. And that doesn't look like it's going to change. You see oil services picking back up again and activity picking back up again up on the slope, North Slope. I had a conversation with someone the other day, and their business was booming and they were expanding up there. And
it's like a big secret too. You walk around Anchorage, a lot of people have no idea that it's bustling on the slope, that it's just, things are moving up there.
Yeah, I think that it's been, there was definitely a slowdown for a while, and it's definitely they're picking back up in anticipation of good policy, and they're willing to make investment again.
Nice.
Now, talking about global, going back to the river, one of the things that's very interesting is a little like Venezuela.
Yeah.
Really great if that oil comes back onto the global market, because right now it's been China's personal piggy bank.
Yeah.
No one else has been able to do business with Venezuela. So China has said, we'll do business with you because they'll do business with anybody. So they get all the oil. So now that oil is going to be back, I guess 300 billion barrels of oil.
Yeah.
Back on the global market. And great for the U.S. economy. Great for actually, the global economy to have that as available resource again. Not necessarily, we're talking very long term, right? But it's not ideal for Canada. It's certainly not ideal for Alberta. And in terms of the oil, it's certainly not great for Alaska. Although, our West Coast crude, our North Slope crude, is distributed pretty much to, the West Coast. And, the Venezuela oil would likely be largely going to the Gulf.
Of this country, yeah.
The Gulf of Mexico or whatever you want to call it, Florida and East Coast and that type of area. But the point is that, it's kind of ironic that instability is really good for oil producers. Instability.
Well, it's kind of like this. If you put pressure here, something's going to go up. You put pressure here, something else is going to go up.
Yeah.
For every action, there's a reaction. So I agree with you.
Yeah. So, price of oil, I think it's probably going to be pretty similar to what it is now. I don't think there's going to be a lot of big changes in that. Maybe a little bit of downward pressure, but in the short term, like in the next year. But anyways, the tensions with, Russia and, with Iran and with China over Taiwan, those things definitely drive up.
Yep.
Help sustain, the price of oil.
That's always good.
Right. And then the other thing that I think that's going on with oil too is, you've seen a significant deflation of the dollar, which has not shown up in crude oil prices yet. So you're seeing it in other commodities. So if you take the price of oil and you go in and you adjust it for inflation, right? It's actually gone down in price in terms of real
adjust. Yeah.
Yes.
Effective.
That's right. The real purchasing price of oil is less than what it was. And in other words, a lot of commodities, you've seen this like, okay, the dollar's going down, gold is going up, silver is going up, and then oil has actually kind of stayed the same. And so those pressures have not shown up in oil yet, which means that the price compression on oil has been a lot more than what we realize. If everything else went up by 50% and oil stayed flat, that means that there could be some potential price increase there for oil.
I see.
You know, I'm saying that it's necessarily going to go up right away, but I'm saying that there are some downward pressures on it because of the globalization and some of those things. But on the other hand, the dollar has got to play a big part in the price of oil, and the dollar has definitely seen a lot of decrease in recent years, right?
Right.
We all know this.
Right. This has been really interesting. I thought it was going to be more real estate, but I like this. I like this because it affects us. The global economy affects us.
Actually, what's really interesting is sometimes we tend to focus in on very visible drivers, like, okay, you know, who really determines the quality of our life is the president of the United States. Think of all the emotional energy that goes into selecting the president. And certainly, I mean, our president does make a big difference in our lives. Globalization probably has more to do with the quality of life of the average American and the changes in technology than either political party.
I agree with you.
It's kind of like, you know, somebody's driving the bus, but it's not who you think it is a lot of times, right?
It can be disturbing if you think about it.
Yeah. But on that note, let's just talk about Alaska for a second here, like in terms of its resources. I think that if you go out, and this is beyond 2026, and you look at our timber and you look at the resources we have in the ground, I think the state has tremendous wealth. Accessing wealth has always been the issue. And that's political.
That's where I was going with that. That's not physical limitation. That's political.
Well, here, like, you want to know why your houses are expensive? Houses are expensive because Bill Clinton shut down all logging in Tongass years ago. Bad decision. So all that timber product went away. And now we buy from a limited number of producers, most of which are Canadian.
Right.
And then we wonder why our timber prices are high and why it costs so much to build a house. Well, we turned off an entire industry. And one, by the way, that, like, as you well know, like, and as I know, one that wasn't harming the environment.
Yeah.
I mean, how many forests have we seen just literally die because of the bark beetle?
And they knew about that bark beetle in the 50s.
We've known about, it comes and it cycles through and it kills off entire forests. And then years later, it renews.
And then there's a forest fire.
And then it happens again.
Then it does it again. But that's how nature is.
That's the natural cycle.
That's the natural cycle.
But this idea that, we can't, cut trees down because it just is, damages the environment. Well, it's a renewable resource, and we can't clear cut things. That shouldn't be, nobody wants that. But the point is,
that wasn't what, that didn't correct that. Clear cutting, yes, is not ideal, and we weren't doing it. So, that's not on the table.
Yeah. So Alaska, here we are, probably in terms of resources, one of the richest places on Earth. Very small population, 800,000.
Or less.
780, 800,000. Massive amounts of land, one of the lowest, basically, population per square mile in the world. And then you've got these political constraints, which have been placed on us because we were turned into a park by every senator that wanted to get a certain, this approval of a certain segment.
Right.
And they locked us up. But
they do come up and fish. So we've got that. Okay.
They do. And they take their photos and they go home and they tell their constituents how environmentally
they saved us.
Yeah. And how, they're environmentally conscious they are. Meanwhile, they're supporting every policy in the world that is turning their own state into one big giant parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's just been the story of Alaska, right? But I think that is changing.
I think it is too.
And I think there's a realization that we can have, and to the credit, this is in large part, I believe a lot of this credit should go to oil companies and to the mining companies who have done a very good job, right? Post Exxon Valdez oil spill at showing that they can be responsible players.
Right.
And even that when we make a mistake, it's not going to be, we're going to fix it.
Well, look at Exxon Valdez. That turned into boom. That was an economic boom.
Well, it was the
horrible accident.
It was the
one man's issue.
It was definitely the match that lit the fire.
Yeah.
Economically, kind of started things going again in Alaska after a really, really difficult period of economic time. But no, but as you know, I mean, if you've been out to Prince William Sound, it's amazing.
It's beautiful.
And it is. It's amazing. And it's more vibrant, more fish than it has ever had before. So